goodness that lasts till lunchtime. Like Hardees smoked sausage biscuit. Split Hillshire Farm smoked sausage on a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit. And our Frisco breakfast sandwich with cherrywood smoked bacon or ham on toasted sourdough. Hardees, goodness in the making. Download the app and join my rewards for special offers. Available for a limited time at participating restaurants.
Hey guys, this is Dan Good from Crown. Just reminding you that Crown Jeep is Cleveland and Bradley County's Jeep headquarters.
You're listening to Paul Feinbaum on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. The Drive is coming up. The ESPN Cleveland 101.3 lineup is supplied by Wholesale Supply Group. WholesaleSupply.us.
It's $1.50 wing and whiskey Wednesday at Aubrey's Cleveland.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line. Hey, Andy Morris here. Join me along with my co-host on The Drive, presented by Hardees, weekdays at 5 p.m. on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Cleveland and Bradley County's local sports show, weekdays at 5 on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
From the Kia of Cleveland Studios, this is ESPN Cleveland 101.3, WCLE HD2 Cleveland, W267BI Cleveland, ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no style. Got a thirst for killing. Live your body.
Welcome back to The Drive. Andy Morris here along with Jim Gum, Jacob Mason in the building. Slim Money and Dad Gum is what we like to call them around here. It is Wednesday, July 2nd.
Hey, do you want to know something crazy about today, July 2nd?
What's crazy about July 2, Jacob? Let our listeners know, please.
So, July 2nd, 2025, 9,131 days ago was the start of 2000. So, that means 9,131 days from now will be 2050. As of 12 p.m. today, we are closer to 2050 than we were to 2000.
Y2K. Oh, my gosh, that's crazy.
Isn't that weird to think about? So, like, something that, like, kind of popped up on my mind on the way over here was, like, thinking about the last 25 years of sports, but, like, what the next 25 years of sports are going to look like and how different they will be and how much change. Even in, like, you know, we talk about the BCS era. Like, we talk about all these things that happened the past 25 years, how much different that's going to be 25 years from now.
The first thing that came to mind when you said that, what the next 25 years of sports are going to look like, there are two things almost simultaneously came to mind. Automated strike zone in Major League Baseball.
That might be here next year.
Exactly. Like that's part of the next 25. And then the changes in college football playoffs specifically, NIL, portal, all that stuff lumped in together. Those are the two main things that I thought of. And we've already seen such a drastic change really with some of the dumb, I'm going to call them dumb because they are dumb, the dumb rules that Major League Baseball has implemented, taking out collisions at second base, trying to break up double plays, and, you know, the path to the play. Like, we took the aggressiveness out of baseball already, so we've changed the game. Before you know it, we're going to have
the pitch clock.
Yeah, the pitch clock. We're going to have two bases over at first like they do in college baseball before too long. You wait and see. It's probably going to happen. But, man, way to bring us in there, Big Money. Slim Money.
Well,
Slim Money Mason.
Here's my thing. I don't know what the next 25 years is going to be, but I'll tell you right now, when it comes to collegiate athletics, I think what we're used to today will be completely different in 25 years. I don't believe the SEC will look anything like it does. I mean, it may not even be called the SEC. You may see 40 or 50 power schools lumped together, and everyone else is doing something else, and they may be separate, and it may. Who knows? I mean, listen, I probably won't be around 25 years from now. If I am, I'll be 89 years old.
Come on, Jim.
But I'm just saying.
You're doing good, man.
I'm just saying, if I do, I probably won't even know what the heck's going on around me anyway. But I mean, seriously, I don't know, man. But the way that electronics is coming into sports. I mean, will basketball courts, will they be made of wood? You know, because have you ever seen those floors that are like you got
the LED lights? Yeah.
I mean, who knows what a field will. You may sell seats to underneath the floor. Well, I don't know if that'd be
might
good
not be a
viewing
good
or
idea,
not.
Jim.
But I mean, just who knows what a venue will be like, you know, and what the viewing experience in person will be like in 25 years.
Well, and then even on that point, like they now have places that are like virtual reality rooms that like they have cameras that are set up and you're basically on the sideline of these sporting events. So like you can go to, it's kind of like more of like a bar setting, but just like a big room, and the whole room is like a
wrapped around.
Yeah, that
kind of like the Sphere in Vegas.
Yeah.
Anyone that's seen that, Kenny
Absolutely.
Chesney's got a big show going on out there. He's a resident out there, and one of the things that he does is Tennessee running through the tee during his performance. It's all around you, and it's like you're standing above the tunnel. It's really neat. And what Jacob's talking about, there's some bars out there where one specifically that I saw was I believe it was it this year Michigan Ohio State was at Michigan.
No, it was at Ohio State.
Okay, so maybe it wasn't Ohio State. Maybe it was Michigan. Someone.
I'm pretty sure it was Texas, the one I saw.
Michigan, Texas.
Maybe.
Okay, but they were at the Big House.
Yeah, that was at Michigan,
and it looked like a massive like sideline, like you were there. The way they've got that screen positioned, almost like covering the whole bar. So that's one thing. I love the camera angles that we have now. I'm not against replay. Like if it's done efficiently, I actually really like replay. I think getting the call right is a good thing. I don't want to completely remove the human element of an umpire or referee, though.
You know, the one thing about a replay that drives me crazy, and this is football, and Major League Baseball does it a little different, but football, there's no reason for you to drag some little monitor out there and for the referee to look at it. That should be done up in the booth,
Yes.
and this guy relays it, and it could be done in much faster time.
Well, we see it in Major League Baseball. I think that for the most part, they're pretty efficient in Major League Baseball.
Major League
the replay.
Baseball is way more efficient than well, college football is worse. The NFL is more efficient than college football. College football, there's so many stoppages. This plays under further review. I'm like, again, I mean, I've seen drives where it should have taken 5 minutes. It's taken 15, 20 minutes because of all the stoppages for replay. That's one thing they've got to get control of, is not have the official on the field do the replay, let a guy up there in the booth, right there in the stadium, relay down via communication, say, yeah, the call stands or the call's changed, and it could be done in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so that was one half of where my brain went with this question, was just the differences in like leagues, rule changes, all of those things. But then the other half, I started thinking about athletes have just gotten better and better and better each year. Like each year, technology advances, we get bigger, we get faster, we get stronger. You think back, like I think back to 2005, Reggie Bush was an absolute dog, right? Mm-hmm. And he was a man amongst men. Or sorry, he was a man amongst boys. But each year, I feel like we see some pretty special athletes, but the field is catching up because defenses are getting faster and stronger. It's, to me, I wonder, are we going to see a guy throw? Are we going to see people consistently throw above 105? Like, are we going to see people start to get so technical on the pitching mound and start to get so fast and so strong that we're throwing faster than we've ever thrown? Or are we going to go opposite? Are we going to go back to like the years of Greg Maddux where we've got guys throwing 89 and just placing around the plate? It's going to be interesting to me over the next 25 years if we still continue to pursue the bigger, faster, stronger kind of way, or if we walk ourselves back a little bit in baseball and get to the more technical side of curve rates and things like that.
If that's the case, one thing that you can absolutely count on is seeing more arm injuries.
Oh, there's no question.
It's an epidemic right now,
but
and it's just going to get worse.
In the medical community, do we find a way to get around that? You know, think about the medical advances in the past 25 years. Think about, like, we're talking about getting back from ACL injuries. Like, I've watched you hobble around for a while. We looked at Nick Chubb suffer like 3 of these in the past 10 years, and he's about to go back out there and is about to run for the Texans.
They're getting better and better at these procedures. There's no doubt about it.
No question.
But when it comes to Tommy John surgery, to the UCL, that is something that I feel like how much more can you advance on that? I mean, other than giving guys robotic arms, basically, like how much better can you perfect that surgery? I think we're at a good place where guys are coming back quicker than they ever have before with it. They're really the PT, the physical therapy side of it, the advancements there have been a lot of the credit for the progression of coming back from those UCL Tommy John surgeries. But there's something to be said, and there's a lot of former Major League pitchers speaking out saying, listen, I was a power pitcher. I threw 99. Like, that should be enough. That should be enough. You shouldn't need to throw 102 and then go down every 2 years with the Tommy John. Like, we've seen Noah Syndergaard and all these phenomenal pitchers that threw like that were north of 100. And where's he now? Like, the guy's not even playing baseball.
Here's my fear going forward is that, the surgeries today, the Tommy John, are as a result of an injury. My fear is having elective surgeries to make your arm stronger, make yourself faster. Maybe they can develop stuff in the legs to make someone run faster, not because they got hurt, because I want this surgery to make me a better athlete. They have surgeries now to make people taller. They'll break their legs and insert stuff in between, and they'll gain 3 or 4 inches. That's actually going on today.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The first thing I thought about is recovery. Like, I feel like in the past 10, 15 years, like, you think about LeBron James has like a cryo chamber in his house, like a $2 million cryo chamber, and a lot of these athletes that
I think
have
Steph
a lot of,
Curry does too.
Yeah, a lot of these athletes that have money, like, I wonder if from a rehabilitation standpoint, if we're going to get to a place where a guy can go out and throw 105 and throw his 80 to 100 pitches, but then we have the technology in 10 years to where the stress on the arm and the recovery is so much faster.
And maybe come back in 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Hey, speaking of, my boy Arden, physical therapist over at C4, over there at the Pie Center, part of the Center for Sports Medicine group there, helping with my recovery. Those guys do a great job, so I'm going to plug them here on the drive today.
Well, you were dog cussing when you came in here.
He wore me out today. And listen, it was a short visit today. I was like, hey, man, there's stuff going on. Got to get into the show a little early today. He said, all right, we're going to work. Man, I came in here, and Jim was like, why are you limping? Like, because Arden killed me today.
By the way, I was kidding. He did not say that. That was purely just kidding and everything. But, I mean, I can see the progress coming on through you. Listen, what do they say? No pain, no gain?
That's right.
You must
have
gained a lot today.
Listen, I've been gaining a lot of weight here recently. I don't know about anything else. But no, they're honestly, C4, they do a great job. Anyone recovering from an injury, it's a good place to go to.
But no, the fact that you said in 25 years that we're closer to that 2050 than we are to 2000, that's mind blowing.
What are your favorite moments in the past 25 years of sports? Since we're on this, in the past 25 years, since we're closer to 2050 than we are 20,000.
Do you say 2025 or you say 2025? I say
20.
I mix it up.
Do you?
Yeah.
My favorite, and of course it always goes back to football, was Ohio State's 2002 national championship, because that nobody gave Ohio State a shot.
It was a Miami game.
Miami.
Yeah.
Nobody gave a shot. Of course,
that was a great game.
The controversy, the late flag, and everything. I get that, but nobody thought Ohio State would be even in the game, because the year before Miami had just trashed Nebraska in the national championship game there in the Orange Bowl, and this was out there in Tempe at the Fiesta Bowl. But Ohio State played literally the perfect game, went into overtime, went into 2 overtimes actually, and they ended up winning up that one because it was so. Nobody thought they had a shot.
Yeah, and that's when Maurice Clarett really made his self known to the college football world. And man, what an just to think what could have been with Maurice Clarett at the college level had he not tried to go pro when he wasn't eligible to, and all that stuff, and not gotten some trouble. Listen, Maurice Clarett could have been a guy. We're talking Heisman Trophy winner potential and first round draft pick and all that stuff. He kind of messed his career up.
He messed up his life. He got into legal trouble. He spent some time incarcerated, but he's turned it around, and he now talks to kids about, hey, don't do what I did. Don't make the same mistakes I did, which obviously, he had to go through some difficult times to make that transition. But listen, stuff like that. I love the great upsets. I love the great. For crying out loud, we were talking about the Patriots and the Rams.
Yeah,
You know the greatest show on turf. When New England and Tom Brady has won their first Super Bowl win, that was a huge upset. The Rams were supposed to crush them.
Yeah.
And but I love the great upsets that happen.
Going back right before that, Titans are in the Super Bowl. Like, fans in Tennessee were like, wait a minute, we got a pro team. We're in the Super Bowl. Like, it was a big deal. And they were about a yard and a half short of winning the Super Bowl against that Rams team.
Tying it going to overtime.
Yeah, that's right. They would have tied it.
I was young, but I remember watching that live, like standing as close as I could stand to the television, and then trying to see if he made it across and replay with that ball. But that was nuts, absolutely nuts.
That was crazy. Like I said, the things that stand out to me are always the big upsets in sports. I mean, and they've always they stay with you a lot longer than the teams. Listen, everyone appreciates dynasties, but man, I like the teams that come out of nowhere. That's why, listen, during the College World Series, I was rooting for Arkansas because they've never won it.
Yeah, same here.
I like to see new blood win championships.
Same here.
Ohio State Jim over here is saying upsets because he's talking about Michigan getting upset in the Big House by Appy State. That's one.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Here's a good story about that. That was the very first game ever televised on the Big Ten Network. Michigan
I've heard
Appalachian,
that. I've
the
heard
very
that.
first game ever televised. What a way to come in, man!
that is.
I remember watching that and thinking, "There's no way this is going to happen." Like, UTC is about to be playing these guys in a couple of weeks,
Right,
and
exactly.
I was so happy. Again, not a huge Michigan fan. Got some respect for him, but
Do you know after that season, Michigan went on to have a pretty decent year. They beat Tim Tebow in Florida in a bowl game that year.
Yeah.
That they couldn't beat Appalachian. Now, Appalachian State did go on to win the national championship that year.
They did, and they had some
in
guys.
Chattanooga, by the way.
They had some guys that went on and had some NFL careers. So it's not as much of a
Armani
fluke.
Edwards.
Yes, it's not as much of a fluke now looking back, knowing how well that team was coached and who was on the team. But at the time, no one knew who they were.
It was an FCS team.
Exactly.
It was an FCS team.
Which, listen, you talk to SEC fans; those are big time games. You get 3 of them a year.
Good Lord.
3 of them a year.
What's your favorite moment in the past 25 years of sports?
Man, so this is more recent, and this was groundbreaking. But I've got to go with Leah Thomas being the first man, the first man to win a women's NCAA title.
Lord have mercy.
That's a big deal.
Oh, by the way, that stuff has been shunned upon.
I'm listening.
Now.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
They're apologizing to the girls that were wrongfully not given the opportunity to have their names in the record books and everything. So
obviously, I'm being a little facetious, joking around a little bit. But University of Pennsylvania did announce that they're stripping Leah Thomas of all of her records. His. Yeah, good correction there. And NCAA title as well. The NCAA is going to follow suit as well and strip his records from the women's books, as it should be. Listen, and I'm not joking when I say this. As a girl dad, that shouldn't be able to happen. Like, I'm taking my girls out of the pool, taking them off the court if they have to compete against a guy at that age. Listen, little kids is one thing.
Oh yeah, because they haven't gone through puberty.
Yeah,
it's a big difference.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But and it's a controversial topic, and I know some of you have different opinions on that. And the good thing about our country, you have the right to have an opinion.
Give us a call 423-749-1013 if you don't agree with us, because I'm on your side on this.
Yeah.
You know.
What about you, Jacob? Where do you stand on this?
Same.
Man of many words.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't normally, publicize my opinion on this stuff, but
this is a sports topic, though.
Yeah,
this is more than political.
I mean, I'll say this. I'll tell you right now. Who was it that won the Tennessee State championship in boys basketball this year? Who was it again? Do you remember?
Who beat Bradley in the semis?
Okay. Anyway, that team.
Yeah.
That team
was it Stewart's Creek?
I thought
I'll look it up.
I'm convinced that team would beat the WNBA champions in a one-on-one in a basketball game if they played head-to-head. Why? Because they play above the rim.
Yeah,
they play above the rim, and the WNBA plays below the rim, and there's such an advantage. The leaping ability, the athleticism, just the overall athletic ability advantage that the boys would have. I'm convinced that the Tennessee State champions would beat the WNBA.
It was Hillsboro.
Hillsboro.
Oh, I thought so. It wasn't Oak Ridge.
They beat Oak Ridge 57-42.
Okay, I was going to say Oak Ridge.
No, obviously they play with a different size basketball. We understand there's a difference there, but I just think the athleticism of high school boys is greater than the athleticism of the best WNBA teams. because they're just better athletes. That's just because the biological advantages that males have over females.
Yeah, Serena Williams is a great advocate of that for women's sports as well. She says, listen, I train with male tennis players. Like, it's not the same sport. It is not the same at all.
That's like the 15 and under boys, the soccer team beat the
US
USA team. Beat them like 8-1 or 10-1 or some crazy score.
I think it was like 13.
It was some crazy score, and they said they just couldn't keep up with them. They're too fast, too athletic.
So obviously, I was joking with that answer.
Hold on, breaking news.
What's up? We got some breaking news here on the drive.
This is from Local 3 News. So this is big. So if I'm wrong, go do your own research. But Local 3 News, Tennessee is switching back to Adidas, according to sports director Ben
Bobick?
Yeah, Ben Bobick, Local 3. The Vols have issued Nike as their official apparel supplier since 2014. UT has previously used Adidas from the mid-'90s until they switched to Nike. So that was 9.
It was so funny. We were just talking about that yesterday.
Ago.
We talked about how quiet it had been.
Oof.
And, Auburn going from Under Armour to Nike. And, by the way, Rutgers also went from Adidas to Nike yesterday. And then now Tennessee today is going the other direction.
If Steven Shelton is listening to this, he's probably like throwing stuff in his car. I remember he was one of the people that was an advocate for them staying Nike. I know all of my friends who are Tennessee fans are. So if anybody does have, like, I'm looking at the Local 3 News.
Well, that was a big story about 3 weeks ago.
Ben just broke this story because I'm on X looking around. I don't know if he actually broke.
No, I'm seeing it right here.
TriStar Network also on X is saying Tennessee is officially switching back to Adidas.
Okay.
Wow.
If we don't take calls like super often on this show from like people like fans, but if you want to voice your opinion on this, there's not any Tennessee fans sitting in the room right now. We all have our own opinion about this, but we would love to hear you at 423-749-1013. You want to go to break real quick?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break.
So again, 423-749-1013. Give us a call and give us your opinion on Tennessee switching back to Adidas.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today. Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
Cleveland Tire Center's 49th anniversary blowout. Huge savings on Bridgestone and Firestone tires. Cleveland Tire Center's 49th anniversary blowout. Now through July 3rd. North Lee Highway, Cleveland, where the names said it all for 49 years.
Listen to the Alon Exchange, hosted by financial professionals Jay and Brittany Hagee, owners of Alon Planning Partners. Each week, they discuss all things financial and answer your questions about investing, preparing for retirement, paying down debt, and more. The Alon Exchange, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on ESPN Cleveland 1013. Don't miss the Paul Feinbaum Show, weekday afternoons from 2 until 5 on ESPN Cleveland 1013. Always topical, always entertaining. Paul Feinbaum on ESPN Cleveland 1013, presented by Hardees.
Mix 1041 and Honda of Cleveland are teaming up to give one deserving teacher in our local area the chance to win a 2025 Honda Civic LX. Nominate your favorite teacher at mymix1041.com or on the Mix 1041 app.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
You are listening to ESPN in Cleveland. Hope everyone out there is having a good day. Hey, Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical school technicians, $22 to $27 an hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one. Medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. And I think they wear Adidas over there at Duracell, do they not?
Hey, listen, the Adidas slogan is impossible is nothing. And with that, I want to bring on a good friend of the show, Stephen Shelton. Stephen, are you there?
Impossible. I don't know about impossible being nothing. It's impossible to think that Tennessee's going back to Adidas.
And their other slogan, by the way, is "You got this." So Tennessee has got this, and it's a deal with Adidas.
Well, it's a deal that it definitely is nothing more than a financial decision.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go back to the creator of 50 Shades of Grey, actually got the idea from the first time Adidas had Tennessee was 50 Shades of Orange.
Oh, that's true.
That's true, man.
It was the worst experience. I mean, give me Russell before you give me Adidas. Adidas, they're I guess trying to sell this to the Tennessee fan base is Tennessee will be the flagship, much like Oregon is for Nike, the flagship for Adidas. Well, I'll say this much: the flagship of Adidas, going off the last time they were in Knoxville, is middle of the grade Under Armour and low grade Nike, and so. It is probably, I would say, the worst brand possible that Tennessee could bring back. It gives me nightmares just thinking about some of the old pullovers they had. So, listen, I know it's a financial decision. I get it. You know, those that have the gold make the rules, I guess. And so, I'll just be honest. This is just. I still think it matters. I still think it matters to recruits of what they're wearing. And the other thing is now with the NIL. Answer me this. When a kid's coming out of high school and he's got an NIL deal with Nike or with Puma or somebody else, are they able to wear these shoes? Because if they're not, and they're only able to wear Nike, do they go to a school that will allow them to wear those deals they got with Nike?
Hey, Stephen, it's funny you said that because just today I read an article about Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State wide receiver. He signed an apparel deal with Adidas. However, while he's playing with Ohio State, he has to wear the Nike shoes and the Nike uniforms, of course. So his time off the field, he'll be all about Adidas. But while he's on the field, he has to be he's a Nike guy for those 3 hours.
Yep. Jim, that makes about as much sense as Dale Earnhardt taking a Ford Thunderbird to the Daytona 500.
Hey, speaking of Finish Line Radio coming on today right after our show, shout out to the guys over at Finish Line.
That makes zero. If you sign a deal with me to rep whatever I'm paying you to rep, that doesn't mean in the time I'm wanting you to rep it the most, which is you doing what I'm paying you to do, being in game time action, you're wearing somebody else's brand. That's not the way contracts are built. And so I understand why Ohio State, is the governing body over what they wear during the games, but this is just another step, I think, in the wrong direction when it comes to the NIL. And, at some point, someone's going to have to start setting some standards that maybe fans can understand. But again, Nike has been so good for Tennessee. Their apparel is, as I've said, the best uniforms I've seen in the last 5 years were Notre Dame's, and they come out when they played at Yankee Stadium, and they had I'm not sure what the gray was called, but those uniforms were the best. But I think Tennessee, their smoky grays have been fantastic. They're all white. Their stormtroopers have been fantastic. It's just, I can remember when Adidas was there, you couldn't even read the numbers and names on the jerseys. It was that bad. And so I just hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate thinking about putting on a pair of Adidas shoes. I really do. I mean, at this point, I thought Nike could get close enough to maybe salvage that relationship, but apparently Adidas has doubled down and trying to get, number one, I think trying to get thicker into the SEC, but number two, trying to get some cornerstone athletic departments to jump on board with them.
Now, Texas A&M, they're Adidas school, are they not?
Yes, they are.
So that's the only one I know. Maybe there's another one in the SEC that I'm not aware of.
So, hey, Stephen, I got a question for you. Is Jacob, do you think this will, like, financially...
Oh, Money Jake. Okay. Slim, what? I think you were called Slim Money Jake or something. What were you called the other day?
Slim Money Mason is what Andy has started toking me.
Slim Money Mason. Yeah. Okay. Well, buddy, welcome back. What's up?
I know. I went on a little 2-week vacation, but I've finally come back on the show. But hey, do you think this will financially hurt Tennessee, like in the sense of like just sales? Like, because I mean, honestly, like. Nike is such a popular brand. I talked about it when Tennessee switched to Nike. I think it was one of the best rebrands probably in college football history, because I was with you, the 50 Shades of Gray being the 50 Shades of Orange. I always used to say it looked like a construction workers convention when you went to Neyland, but when they went to Nike, everything was the same. Everything matched. Do you think ultimately this is going to hurt them like in sales?
Well, I tell you, I think that number one, I think the fan base is crazy enough. It doesn't really matter. I do think that it will increase sales for brands, other brands that are allowed to use Tennessee apparel, Peter Millar and some of the others that are becoming more and more popular outside the Nike brand. But yeah, I mean, you talk about the athletic shorts, when you talk about shoes, I think shoes especially. I think that's where it's going to be the biggest. Adidas polos are hideous. They're cut different. They don't fit right. And so I do, same thing with you guys. You at Ocoee Middle, before the rebrand of Ocoee Middle with the new O and the logo, I think for Tennessee it's the same step, but a step backwards, especially for those that went through the Adidas era the first time. It just go back and just go Google Adidas Tennessee apparel.
Oh, yeah.
And then call me back and say, this thing looks good. There was nothing they did that was remotely made you want to go out and buy some of the sideline gear.
Hey, this is Andy. Stephen, I do think there's going to be a point in time where we see the NCAA say, listen, as long as the team's jerseys are what their deal is by school, the players that have these NIL deals can wear their Adidas gloves if they're a Nike school, etc. Just kind of looking at the future of that. I know in travel basketball, in AAU basketball, there were these teams that were sponsored by Adidas, and a lot of those kids would go to Adidas schools. So I think that's going to be a move the NCAA has to make in order to prevent, more so 7-on-7 football, these kids that are sponsored by Under Armour, going to a school like Notre Dame or a notable Under Armour school. What do you think the future of that looks like?
I think you're right. I mean, look at Major League Baseball. I mean, they've Nike uniforms. And then, whatever shoe you want to wear, you can wear. And so I think you're exactly right. I think you may see some guys out there with Nike pads on, Nike pants and Nike jerseys. And I think eventually I just don't know how, if you're a Nike that has, let's say, the next big thing at Tennessee, or if you're an Adidas that signs the next quarterback at Florida, I just don't understand how you can justify giving these kids contracts or NILs, and then when they're going to be showcased the most, having some other brand on. It just doesn't work.
Well, hey, Stephen, at least you got Lululemon, man. Tennessee, they got
Lululemon strong. It's taking over the UT bookstore. It does have a great section in there. I've didn't want to say anything, but I've seen Greg Phillips in there a few times. I'm not sure what he's getting. I'm not even sure what will fit. But at the end of the day, again, I just think it will accelerate some of these brands that are not Adidas when you talk about apparel and like I said, the sideline, just the things that Nike did that they do everywhere. They don't recreate the wheel. It's just the same thing in every spot, but it's so consistent. The quality is so much better. I mean, I've got the first Nike sideline shirt that when Nike came to Tennessee. The first sideline shirt today, it still looks about as good as the day I bought it, and that's the thing that I don't think that Adidas is going to be able to duplicate.
Yeah, again, if you're frustrated with the news of Tennessee switching from Nike back to Adidas, you can give my friend Josh Rogers a call, and he can tell you where to find all the Lululemon products up in Knoxville.
Very, very true, very true. Josh Rogers is a big Lululemon guy anyways. I mean,
Listen, he came on this show and talked a lot about Lululemon with Tennessee, and it kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
Well, I think I was in there the day he went into the bookstore and, kind of got mesmerized by the whole deal. So, Josh Rogers is a guy that he'll fly his Georgia flag, but, he's a closet Tennessee fan. Don't let him lie to you.
Oh, man. Well, Stephen, hey, thanks, man, for joining us. It's always a good laugh. Hey, you've got till 2026. That's when the Nike contract expires, so you might want to go ahead and start buying up as much Nike gear as you can.
Don't know if you know this or not, but we're halfway through 2025, so that'll be here right before. So now, update me on this because you guys broke the news to me. Does that mean basketball will start Nike and stay Nike, or is this going to start with football? I guess this starts football 2026 for Nike through this, sports calendar year.
That's a great question because, listen, shout out to our guy at Local 3, Ben Bobiak, because he Boback. Listen, he gets everybody else's names wrong. It's okay for me to get his name wrong. But he really is one of the guys that kind of broke this story. You get on X and look at it. There weren't too many people putting it out there until he did, and then it just the floodgates opened. So I'm curious myself to see.
I hope he's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I visualize a Tennessee revolt, just like they did when Greg Schiano was going to be the next Tennessee coach, and the fans went nuts. Maybe the fans will do this again in Tennessee. Like, no, we're not doing it. We're going to change our mind. We'll see.
I hope we don't. I seriously hope we don't find Danny White on a booster's plane flying over the middle of the United States trying to hide from the Tennessee fan base as we did before. So, but yeah, this thing is. I don't think it's going to be well received. Let me just say that.
No doubt about that.
Hey,
Yeah.
Stephen Shelton, appreciate you calling in, man.
See you guys. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Do you guys remember an apparel company out of Knoxville was called Sports Bell?
Yeah, Tennessee wore that
when
mid-'90s.
Peyton Manning was there, they wore that for a little bit until they switched over to Adidas. But yeah, that was a local company. By the way, they went bankrupt.
Yeah.
In fact, the owner, I think, spent some time in prison. I think he arson. I think he burnt his own plant.
Trying to get a little insurance money there.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I'll say this: going back to those early '90s, during that time, like Tennessee had those iconic. Just consistent orange jerseys, big, bold white numbers on them.
I remember the huge
numbers. Yeah,
okay.
And it looked great. I liked it. When Tennessee initially made the switch to Adidas, I remember thinking that orange has a yellow tint to it. It's a yellow orange. Yeah. That's not what's on the helmet. The jersey and the helmet stripe with the Power T were two different oranges.
Yeah, two different shades for sure.
And Adidas got a little bit better, but I can remember when Red Bank product Gerald Riggs was up there. Adidas was kind of coming around a little bit, making their stuff a little bit better. And I can remember watching Gerald Riggs Jr. run the football back number 31, number 21, and thinking, hey, these Adidas uniforms look better than the ones that they had a couple of years ago. I can remember thinking that as a non-Tennessee guy. And listen, so Jacob talked a lot about this yesterday. Nike is really the dominant brand when it comes to college athletics across the board. You look at the Big Ten, you look at the SEC, ACC. It's predominantly Nike, and most of the power teams.
85%, wouldn't you say?
Yes. So I'm looking at this, and the notable Adidas schools. I'm going to name a few of these and get your reaction. And these are their Adidas headline schools for wearing their brand. Mm-hmm. Arizona State.
Yep.
Georgia Tech. Indiana.
Yep. Indiana has for a while.
Kansas, which, listen, on the basketball court,
that has great on basketball.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with them basketball.
Louisville.
That's right, yeah.
Miami.
That one always shocked me. Miami just feels like a Nike.
When they switched to Adidas, that kind of bothered me.
That one just is not a good fit.
When I think Miami, I think like Ken Dorsey, Devin Hester, Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee.
Same here. They just seem like they feel like a Nike.
And they're the ones that would kind of, they were what Oregon is to Nike.
That's right.
Back then, like Miami would wear the new stuff and kind of break it out, and everyone's like, "Oh, that looks cool. That's new."
Right.
And so Mississippi State Adidas school.
I forgot about them. Yeah.
Nebraska Adidas school. North Carolina State Adidas school.
Anti-North Carolina.
They're not wearing no Jumpman.
No, they're not even close.
Rutgers Adidas school.
Well, they just switched to Nike yesterday.
Rutgers did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Texas A&M Adidas school.
What about UCLA?
And Washington Adidas school.
Is UCLA not a...
I think they're Under Armour, to be honest with you.
Okay, maybe they are. I didn't think they were Nike. But
for some reason, I thought they were Jumpman.
You might be right.
I don't know. But there again, those are some good schools now. Those are some good schools in there. And Tennessee, if they were going to say Tennessee's going to be the flagship school in college football for Adidas, that's some pretty good company that you're mixed in there with. That being said, all of the national champion contenders seem like they're all pretty much Nike's teams or Nike schools. So I don't know. Not because of basketball, I don't have a problem with Adidas at all in basketball. I think they have nice uniforms and good gear in basketball. I don't know about the shoes.
Yeah, the best thing that Tennessee can do, if this is, and we're reporting this off. Listen, this is very, very early breaking news
because it's on local. It's on Local 3. It's on Local 3 Sports, and then Bob has tweeted it out himself. So it's across those 3 platforms, but we haven't seen it.
There was one Knoxville platform that I saw on X that was a verified account that had posted it. So listen, if this is true, the best thing Tennessee can do, the best thing they can do, is have Run DMC come in their Adidas gear at the 50-yard line and just do such a cool marketing thing.
You know what would be funny? If Ben Bobick come back and say, "Hey, my account was hacked."
Oh,
None
wow.
of this is true.
As we've just flustered the entire Vol Nation.
That would be classic,
Hey,
would it not?
Listen, with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some Atlanta Braves baseball as much as we might want to kind of avoid it a little bit.
A Nike team or an Adidas team?
No one knows what they are. They're inconsistent is what they are. So Atlanta Braves right here on The Drive, ESPN Cleveland 101.3 when we come back.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
What if a friend or a loved one was thinking about suicide? What would you say? What would you do? The Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network provides support. TSPN teaches how to spot warning signs of suicide, and we teach you how to do something. Go to tnprevention.org to learn how you can help with suicide prevention efforts. That's tnprevention.org, a public service announcement of the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network and this station.
When you need a new roof, it's all about trust. Your home is too big an investment and you can't afford to make a mistake. Cleveland Plywood has the products and expertise you're looking for. Contractors have trusted them for over 50 years, and they carry only proven products from reputable suppliers like IKO. IKO Cambridge is one of the heaviest weight asphalt shingles you can buy, and their limited warranties are among the industry's best. Protect the investment you've made in your home. Go with the pros at Cleveland Plywood, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland. Call 472-3357. For a quarter of a century, Mix 1041 has been taking you out to the ball game.
Swanson to first. The Braves are world champions.
Since 2000, Mix 1041 has been the home of the Atlanta Braves, and we're celebrating by giving away tickets to Atlanta Braves games all summer long. Listen for your chance to call or text to qualify. You can also register at the Mix socials on Facebook and Instagram. Braves 25 is presented by Cleveland Ford. Honest people, honest deals.
Cleveland Tire Center's 49th anniversary blowout with great specials every day, Monday through Saturday. A $200 gift card drawing every Saturday through July 3rd. Cleveland Tire Center, where the name said it all for 49 years.
Magnolia Dental Center of Cleveland wants to welcome you to the Magnolia family, a local dental clinic that uses their God-given knowledge and skills to bless our community through dentistry. From checkups and cleanings to dentures and all-on-4 dental implants, they can help you feel healthier and more confident. Conveniently located at 2190 Chambliss Avenue, join the Magnolia family today. Call 423-476-3307 for your free exam and x-rays.
Davenport Fireworks has lost their mind. Everything is half price at Davenport Fireworks. Everything half price. Davenport Fireworks, Dalton Pike at the state line.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Welcome back to The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 1013. Hey, got to talk to you for a second about Mayfield Dairy. They've been delivering farm fresh dairy products beloved by Southern families since before 1983. But in 1983, you know what the big thing in 83 was, Jim? You remember this.
No.
What did they do? They went to the yellow jug.
The yellow jug.
The gold jug.
Yeah.
Listen, Jim was talking to us yesterday about before they were in the yellow jug.
I thought it was weird when they first came out. I said, what the heck? I thought it was orange juice.
Yeah, it sets them apart.
What?
But listen, sometimes people get yellow and orange confused as they're about to be in Knoxville as they potentially are switching to Adidas. But I had to throw that out there. I'm sorry, Tennessee fans. I know you guys are struggling right now. But listen, that yellow jug protects Mayfield dairy milk from the harmful light rays, and it's absolutely delicious. Learn more about Mayfield today at mayfielddairy.com. I'm just poking a bear at this point.
I got to say this will really let you know just how old I am. When I was a little baby, I mean like a real little kid, we actually had a milkman deliver milk to our front steps. That's honest to God.
Glass bottle?
In glass bottles, yeah. And I don't know how often they came. I think maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. I don't remember. But that didn't last very long. We started buying our own milk shortly after that. But I do remember that as a wee little kid living in Ohio. Sure do.
Yeah, listen, that's a time that you talk about. Jacob threw that stat out at the beginning of the show, like we're closer to 2050 now than we are to the year 2000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, I wish sometimes for more simpler times, like you're talking about, having the milkman bring the milk to the front door.
True story.
Having a paper boy. People don't even get papers anymore. It's all digital.
True story. When I was real little, and before I could read, I used to think the UPS, the brown UPS trucks, I thought those were the chocolate milk trucks. Instead of, because the milkman always came in a white van and everything, a white truck. And I thought the brown ones, that must have chocolate milk in those.
It only makes sense.
Well, it's okay, Jim. I can't read still.
I can't read, though, you know.
Well, I can't read still, so it's fine. Yeah.
Listen, you guys, this is completely off topic of the Atlanta Braves, if you can't tell I'm avoiding it.
Oh, boy.
But you remember the truck that used to drive around? It was kind of like a beige truck with the swan on it, and they'd have like all the like the ice cream and like all the cool. Yeah. Do you remember the brand? Was it like Swan something?
Swan.
It was like Blue Swan or
something like that. Yeah,
like
it.
I just saw on social media that like they don't do that anymore. Like it just ended.
Okay.
So like
I thought it ended a long time ago.
I can remember being like a little kid and being like, dude, you got any ice cream bars? And he's like, dude,
that's kind of like saying, hey, Blockbuster, they went out of business years ago.
Yeah.
There's still one left in out there in Oregon, some little town in Oregon.
That's
they still
pretty
have
cool.
one Blockbuster still left.
Listen, there were some fun nights out over at Blockbuster Friday night, getting some video games. Speaking of some video games, that's something we can talk about here at the end of the show. The college football video game has released all their ratings. A lot of fun talking about that stuff, seeing who they have as the best players. But yeah, Blockbuster, that's a throwback. But hey, we got to talk some Atlanta Braves now. Coverage of your Atlanta Braves on the Drive are brought to you by Mayfield Dairy. Shout out to them and those beautiful golden jugs. The Braves lost last night to the Angels, 4-0. Grant Holmes, you get about as good of a start as that guy's given you. Went 6 innings, only allowed 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and 10 strikeouts. He was on his stuff. And again, we've seen this at least, it seems like once every series, at least once. absolutely zero run production from the Atlanta Braves. Just completely losing your mind at the plate as far as plate discipline. Can't figure out ways to get on base. We get on base, we leave guys stranded. It's the same story, different day. And I want to lead with this. Dylan Lee is human. He's been one of the absolute best relief pitchers in Major League Baseball. Last night, only went a third of an inning, gave up 2 hits, 3 runs, and a walk. Not his best appearance, and I'm okay with that. That's one out of a whole bunch of appearances where he's been electric. But I'm a Dylan Lee fan. I kind of pound my chest on the show talking about Dylan Lee, and so I wanted to throw that out there. He's human. It happens. Not as frustrated with that as I am with the Braves not being able to score any runs. But of course, yesterday we broke the news right here on the drive that the Braves had traded for Pittsburgh Pirates right-handed pitcher Hunter Stratton. They optioned him to AAA Gwinnett. He better get ready because he's going to be up in this rotation very soon, because this is some more breaking news today. Spencer Schwellenbach has been placed on the 15-day IL with a fractured right elbow. That is his throwing elbow, and that's actually been backdated to June 29th, which, when you're able to backdate a few days, that's a huge help. But they're hoping that they're going to be able to have Schwellenbach back at some point in September. So just a lot of bad, negative stuff going on. I guess you can consider this bright side. Have a little optimism here. Jerks and Profar are set to return tonight. And Alex Verdugo, corresponding move there, was designated for assignment. So kind of makes sense from the Braves standpoint. Verdugo, not an overly power bat, not a fast guy on the field. So Fairchild and Eli White, those are the 2 guys that get to stay on and hang on the bench.
Do we know how Schwellenbach fractured his elbow? Have we heard the news? Because, did he do it throwing a pitch? Did he hit it?
He believes it was velocity that caused it.
So it's probably just a hairline fracture.
Yeah, and you talk about this is a pitching staff.
That's a lot of stress.
Jacob, you've got some good stats here
throwing
on this.
a pitch. We've seen guys that have broken their arms before and fracture your elbow because of the torque that you put on it. Man.
So one of the stats that I was scrolling through X and saw today, the first 4 starting pitchers to begin the 2025 season in San Diego: Chris Sale, ribs, out; Ronaldo Lopez, shoulder, out; Schwellenbach, elbow, out; AJ Smith-Shawver, elbow. It says gone, but it just means for the season. He's out for the year. So there's not a single starter available right now for the Braves that started the season in 2025.
And you know what happens when you're 8 games under 500?
Yeah.
That's the reason. You can't have that many guys go down and contend. You just can't.
Not starting pitching wise.
No.
And listen, as much fun as we like to poke at the Mets, I mentioned Noah Syndergaard. I mentioned Zach Wheeler a few days ago. They had a rotation of a lifetime. Who was it? The Dark Knight. Pitch for the Mets. Harvey? Was it Harvey?
I don't remember.
I can't remember his last name, but he was a guy who went from being one of the best pitchers of baseball, getting hurt, and ended his career. But they had a starting rotation that was unbelievable. And you're thinking, how's this team not winning? And because of all the injuries. That's something we talked about earlier in the show. The Braves, Jacob just mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, not to mention Spencer Strider, who wasn't in the rotation because he was hurt at the beginning of the season. Luckily, we've got him in there, but if we go back and forth every day on this show and every series, really, with where are we at now? Are we buyers? Are we sellers? It is hard to justify. Had you asked me a day ago on the show yesterday, I think we're still buyers. I think we're trying to better the team. After this today, I'm wondering, how much are you willing to do as a front office to better your team when you've got 4 guys out of your rotation that you might not have back till the end of the regular season?
And you got 78 games left.
Yeah, and something else that's frustrating is then you have nights like last night where you only give up 4 runs, but you can't put up a run yourself. So not only do you not have the longevity of these 4 guys in your rotation, on nights where you have the ability to go out, you should be able to win a ball game only allowing 4 runs.
You should. You'll probably go 500. If you give up 4 runs, you should go minimum 500.
And so the fact that that lineup couldn't put up one run last night, it's frustrating because there's gonna be games where you're gonna see lights out pitching and stuff like that, and you're gonna see games where your pitchers are off. But when your starting pitcher does a good job and you only give up 4 runs, and I'm pretty sure it was late, correct, Andy?
Yeah, it was.
They all 4 in the 8th inning, were they not?
You know, so like you have that, and you're not able to help your staff at all. It's frustrating. And I got 3 texts last night that were like, I'm done with the Braves. I'm ready for football season. And so if that's where a lot of the fan base is, like, how as a front office can you go out and be an aggressive buyer when your left fielder that you're getting back can't even participate in postseason play?
Listen, when stuff like that has fans more excited to put on Adidas Tennessee gear than to watch a Braves game, there's a problem.
Oh my God,
there's a problem.
Oh Lord,
just still poking the bear a little bit. Hey, silver lining for the Atlanta Braves though. Matt Olson's 31-game on-base streak continues. Had a hit in the first inning. That leads Major League Baseball. Michael Harris might be waking up a little bit. Man, I hope so. He had a triple in last night's game in the 5th inning. Really need Michael Harris, man. He's a guy that
was that a leadoff triple?
Yes, he's a guy that we thought was going to be a huge piece to this team, and he's just not been a contributor outside of his defense in center field, which, again, is elite. And luckily, his poor hitting's not affected his defense. I understand that whole narrative, but we've got to get some run production from him. Run support for this whole team has been terrible. So I'm reading here, Dave O'Brien, beat writer for the Atlanta Braves, said Schwellenbach thinks that his recent increased velocity might have caused the fracture in his elbow. He thinks that his elbow might not have been ready for that increase of velocity. He hopes to be back by late season, but he's been informed until the fracture heals, he won't resume throwing. So there is not a real timetable.
Interesting. By the way, did you see where Shohei Ohtani threw one was 101.7 miles an hour the other day? He's never thrown one that
that's
fast.
insane.
And this is, 2 years since he last pitched. So, but yeah, unbelievable. By the way, he hit his 30th home run of the season last night. So, but I'm changing the subject a little bit, but that just made me think. These guys, they throw with such velocity, and I'm honestly, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that this doesn't happen more often, that you put that much torque on your elbow or your throwing arm, your shoulder, that you don't have more fractures and breaks.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And listen, you mentioned Shohei Ohtani, just to kind of backtrack a little bit. Did you see the video of him? And I believe they were in Kansas City, and anyone that's ever been to Kansas City knows they're weather-wise, kind of like the South. It's a pretty good comp. It gets a little warm there in Kansas City. They were playing a day game, and there was a little corner in the bullpen that was shaded, and Shohei Ohtani was crammed into that corner, squatted down with his knees to his chest, hiding in the shade of the bullpen. It's such a funny picture that's out there. But he legit was like, dude, I'm not made for this.
Not many people are.
So, Jim, you're talking about, fractured, bones and stuff like that. You know what that tells me? They're not drinking enough Mayfield dairy.
Mayfield dairy milk, baby. That's
they're
it.
They're not drinking enough milk.
We grew up with your parents saying, hey, drink that milk. Good for your calcium, good for your bones.
Listen, those yellow jugs, too, you'll be able, at some point, once you finish your milk, you'll be able to cut the jug open, put it on like a hat, and go to a Tennessee game and blend in with everybody.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
Andy's in straight. Here's the thing. I keep on checking. That post is not down. It's still across all 3 of his Twitter, the sports for Channel 3 and the Channel 3 website. But I've yet to see very many other posts about it on the internet. So it's going to be interesting to see if we're, retracting this tomorrow.
Could you imagine?
Hey, either way, we know how Tennessee fans feel about it. We've been getting text messages, and
that's the thing. The people that have invested all this money and all this Nike gear, I mean, it still looks pretty darn good. Are you going to go out there and get what I consider an inferior product, the stuff that Adidas makes?
We're just bringing the heat on Adidas today here on the show, here on the drive. We're not holding back. We're letting loose.
By the way, me wearing my Under Armour shirt here right now. So I like Under Armour.
I
would think Tennessee would have been happier. The fans would have been happier switching to Under Armour than they would going to.
I think you're right.
Hey, some not big breaking news out of Georgia, but Georgia is going to start hosting live events in Stanford Stadium. They're calling it Live Between the Hedges, so they're going to start bringing concerts and stuff back to that.
Have they never done that before?
They haven't in a long time. They kind of went away from it, but they're going to start doing it again.
They started seeing those dollar signs in the NIL area.
Well, I mean,
what it is.
and you look. I mean, look, Tennessee has hosted some really, really cool events in
Morgan
Neyland
Wallen,
Stadium.
man.
Yeah, so I think it'd be funny to do a Facebook post of who would you want to see live in Stanford Stadium? Wrong answers only.
Oh,
and give us the worst people possible to perform in
That would
Stanford
be
Stadium.
funny.
So
I still think the weirdest look at Sanford Stadium is when they had the Olympics soccer there, and they yanked the bushes out, the hedges. And Sanford Stadium did not look like itself because they had to, because the field of soccer fields, soccer pitch is wider than a football field. So to do that, they had to yank out the hedges. Now they did keep this, I guess, the saplings, and they replanted, so it's from the same species, if you will, same original saplings or make up the bushes now.
They rip them out every couple of years and they replant them, but it's not a Georgia football.
But you don't
stadium.
see a football game with them not there.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, Jim, this is America. You can say soccer field. No one's going to get mad at you. It's okay.
All right.
But, hey, listen, great show today. We're up against the hour here, 6 o'clock. Braves tonight set for Game 2 of the 3-game set with the Angels. Got to get something going. Lord help us. Last homestand prior to the All-Star break. Obviously, Baltimore Orioles coming in for that last series of the homestand this Friday. But Didier Fuentes, young man, back on the bump for the Bravos tonight. 7:15 first pitch. You'll be able to listen to that game on Mix 104.1. It will not be here on ESPN tonight because skipping out on pregame, we got Finish Line Radio coming up next right here on ESPN Cleveland.
Yeah, hey, tune in. Atlanta was a fun race to watch. It was
Chase Elliott, man.
A little bit of a wreck fest, but the hometown boy pulling it out, I'm sure they're going to have a lot of great info. And there's also a driver that will no longer be with the team, so I'm going to let them break that here next on Finish Line Radio.
Hey, Tennessee fans, get that gold out.
It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.